Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another segment from the podcast version of the Podheads web show. Visit thepodheads.com for more of all your podheads.
Today, like I said, we're going to talk about the most sampled artists in hip hop history. Who do you guys think number one is, by the way?
I mean, I have to think, Michael Jackson's got to be up there, but if I have to believe it's also maybe amount of hits. Elvis? Like,
What do you think, C-Money?
Elvis? I'm going to go Elvis. Beatles.
One artist.
Elton John? I mean, I don't know who.
I don't know, man. Frank Sinatra. Like, I really don't know.
James Brown.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
James Brown, almost 7,500 samples. If you think about that,
700 different songs?
yes, over 7,500 times, James Brown's music has been sampled in various songs.
Well, he was king, right, for a long time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ruled the 60s, late 60s and 70s. His biggest hit, not his biggest hit, but his most sampled track was called Jungle Groove. And it wasn't even like a big hit of his. It was a jam session that he happened to record. Let me see.
That dude did so much coke.
Wow! I mean,
Yeah.
he had to, right? Or
Those glasses.
part of it. Yeah, and that's, while you look that up, I can kind of guess why his music was sampled. I mean, even back then, he was so out there.
Yeah.
So
I feel good.
this song you're listening to right here, the Funky Drummer song, 1,500 samples itself. And this, like I said, a jam session back in 1969 that almost nobody ever heard before. You know what I'm saying?
He's still alive?
He's dead.
He
He
did.
did.
He did.
Yeah. So moving on, guys. The next one is a close second. Actually, not close at all. Only 3,000 samples compared to Brown's freaking Brown, right? Am I crazy? James Brown. I'm baked. Compared to James Brown's 7,500, it's crazy, right, to see how massive James Brown's impact was in hip-hop. So now we have Public Enemy. Everybody knows this. One of the most iconic beats out there. Listen to that boom bap, that you got the drums, you got the horns, you got the scratching in there. I mean, hip-hop at its best right here. Right? I mean, everybody knows that. Bring the noise. I mean, right? It's unforgettable, and of course, it has influenced the most iconic people: Eminem, Ice-T, Kanye West. More than 800 samples of "Bring the Noise" alone. Yeah.
That's how important they were to not only, the songs or just, the future's music, but just the generation, the hip hop movement. I mean, everybody talks about the influence that Public Enemy #1 has in hip hop to this day. And here you go, more examples of it.
Yeah.
Cool. You gotta show respect to the others. I mean, you really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for James Brown, if it wasn't for Public Enemy, if it wasn't for #3.
Change the beat. Actually, the name of the group is called Beside. It's a French group, and the music itself isn't French, but you recognize the beat. Listen.
Oh, yeah.
That's the classic the Beat Boys hip hop. Yeah, like just want to break dance to that. But it's entirely, listen to that. It's entirely in French, guys. This song, it was by all female. Well, no, excuse me. Let me change that. The female version from the group called Beside, Change the Beat, was pretty big. One of their only hits, really. But this has been used by people like Macklemore, Ryan Lewis, and sampled by Eazy-E for Boys in the Hood. So
I feel like this is a very familiar beat. Guys, you don't even know. So, we know that hip-hop.
I never heard of these guys. I never heard of these guys before doing this research. So yeah.
You know, you think about, you know, America and history and rap and culture, but French, you know what I mean? African. I saw Japanese people rapping. Like, you know, the cultural influence is worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if she listened to James Brown, but this influence came from somewhere.
Where did you see money? You told me that you are one of the few people in your family that listen to hip hop. Where did you start getting into it like that?
I'm probably the only one. It's a good question. I think the first CD I ever got was obviously Eminem, of course.
Yeah.
I think it was whatever CD had Without Me, Cleaning Out the Closet, all those. And from there, I actually got into DMX after Eminem. I was obsessed with DMX when I was in 8th grade. Again, I was an angry kid, so it's only natural that those angry rappers just kind of, you know, obviously I couldn't relate to what DMX was rapping out, but I totally related to what Eminem was. And then I just slowly started going down rabbit holes from DMX. And I think the next big one was probably Jay-Z after that. And then just recently, you guys know, I started going back to 90s to 80s.
Yeah.
Now, damn, dude, I honestly, I think Nas might be my favorite now.
Hey.
I not had an argument, but me and C Money talked about Nas, how I was. He's like, man, I'm just finding Nas, and man, I'm like, good for you, bro. He just came out with another record, and it was fire. I listened to it.
I thought it was a good album.
The record was good.
Yeah.
So I'm a bigger fan of Nas now than I was before, you know.
This next one, Run DMC. You knew we were going to get to this today. Run DMC, by far one of the most sampled hip-hop groups in history, one of the most popular music groups in history. Over 2,046 samples. This song, Here We Go, has been sampled over 760 times itself. And of course, you listen to that. I mean, that's like the first freestyle type of beat right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, that's all. That's simple. That's with a simple little soundboard. You know what I mean? Little beatbox. Incredible what these guys were able to do with what they had at their disposal at the time. This song has been sampled by people like De La Soul, Junior Mafia with Biggie Smalls, Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, guys. I mean, come on.
It's good, right? Because it forces the new generation to go back and go down that rabbit hole. And it's cool that music platforms give you, you know, if you like this, you'll like this. And it just allows these kids to go down these rabbit holes. Yeah, man, that's fucking crazy. I wonder how much money these guys have made. That's crazy.
You gotta let things inspire you. Like, yeah, you want to do your own thing, that's cool. But you take things, like you learn from all different genres of life, and that evolves who you are. You know what I mean? You don't want to sound like everybody else. Go listen in the 50s, Run DMC, James Brown. Get some inspiration, and then you present that to the world the way you want. Get some inspiration. That's what it is. When you sample, it's an inspiration. You hear it, and you are inspired to provide an art, to do art.
And you know,
inspiration.
And these aren't, I mean, even though these guys, these artists that we've mentioned so far have been, you know, spanning over 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years in James Brown's case, this is things that are being sampled today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This isn't like, 10-year-old hip hop from the 90s being reused. No, this is stuff that people like you said, Eminem just recently has sampled some of these on his recent albums. Drake has used some of this stuff. And of course, moving on to this guy who's been dead for over 20 years and people are still sampling him, quoting him, using him. Won't you let the late, great veteran live? To quote Nas, Biggie Smalls, folks. Biggie Smalls, Juicy, by far his biggest single. And you hear that iconic, that classic.
That told me I never amount to nothing. To all the people that lived above the buildings when I was hustling from that call the police.
What do you have? In Vogue on the background, I think, on this one.
And all the niggas in the struggle.
Or not In Vogue. I forget the name of the group.
It was all a dream.
Shit.
I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper, and
can't
Lady D
remember.
up in the limousine.
Did Biggie do it? Did he write or did he do it off top?
He was set to do it off the top as well.
I see videos of him doing it.
Just
off the top of the
spitting, yeah.
street. So yeah, no, they're just.
Like you have to, he's spitting a line, but it's like chess where he's already 2 or 3 lines
he's
ahead.
already at the end of the
That's
song.
what I
out
think.
there. Yeah,
Right?
It's
Yeah.
the only way.
I mean, you got the classic. I think it's Total on the. I gotta look it up, or SWV. I can't remember. One of those iconic female groups from the '90s is singing the hook on this. But you can hear one of the best, most just laid back, chill. Robin Leach.
Listen, so when you sample a song, do you throw it in your hook, or do you throw it in your lines? Like, what are you doing? Is it?
Well, I guess it depends. This one has been sampled by people like J. Cole on Villuminati, if you remember that. The Game on Do It Big, and Common on No Fear. So you can reference those songs and see how those guys really did it. You know what I'm saying?
I guess what I'm getting at is it's fun for me when people sample something and then like lyric it on their own. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but you might have talked about it earlier. So it takes skill to take something, be inspired, and use it, infuse it like it was meant to be together. Like I can't even explain it. It must be high, it must be baked, but it takes skill to take a sample and make something out of it yourself.
Yeah, to make something modern too.
Right, something
You
modern.
can't,
You
yeah.
change with the times. You take it, you bring it into modern times, and you present it in a modern take. That, I think, takes skill. You're not just hitting play on an old song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, long story short.
These next guys, Kool and the Gang, to keep it old school. Everybody knows these guys. Rappers Delight, right? Some of the original, not Rappers Delight, Ladies Night.
I love that song. It's
Jungle
so great.
Boogie. And this one right here, let's see, by JB Smoke. Give me a second to find this one.
I just want to dance like this. You can't see my feet, but I'm moving my feet really fast.
It's just great chill music.
It
I mean, you
is,
can listen
man.
to that at a club.
Yeah, Kool and the Gang, their music, I don't see a specific song here, but their music, songs like Ladies Night and Jungle Boogie, have been sampled over 1,500 times, guys, and have been used on songs by Q-Tip, NWA. I mean, we're talking about big songs. NWA's Gangsta, Q-Tip's Breathing Stop, Nas's New York State of Mind, one of his biggest hits. Come on, guys. So if no Kool and the Gang, maybe no Nas, right? If no James Brown, maybe no Eminem. How crazy is that to say?
You're listening to the Podheads Web Show. We'll be right back.